All right, let's transition to kind of a off the map type game, but one with some weather implications and one that's not too far for me up in Laramie. And if you haven't been to a game in Laramie, they're pretty fun. Kind of a sneaky, fun little college town and good environment. There's not a lot to do out in Laramie, so when they have games, they go they go to the games. It's very similar to like the Nebraska feel, just on a lesser level. There's no pro teams. This is like the only D1 school, so people like to come uh, to the Wyoming home games. 2.5 is what Wyoming is favored at, and then a total of 42 at Circa, 43.5 at DraftKings. But Circa being a sharper book, I feel good referencing that. So let's talk a little bit about the weather in this one. Go ahead.
Yeah, I like the under. I'm with you. I know you said you were leaning under in this game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Already.
Yep.
Yeah, I like the under here. Right now, we're expecting a west wind at 28 miles per hour, so
Whew.
not just a gentle breeze.
Sounds
So
like an average day in good old Laramie.
right, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, and the total really hasn't moved much. So, which is interesting with a win that strong. Um, but yeah, I definitely lean under here, just from what I've seen. The only game I watched App State play was that North Carolina game that with the
Should have
overtime
gone
game.
under. Oh my god,
Oh
that
yeah,
one that
yeah,
one hurt.
100%.
That one was I was on the under, and I'm like, this is gonna go in OT, isn't it?
Right. Yeah. So definitely, I like that a lot. I don't know what. Yeah, I don't know
So,
what it's gonna take, but I definitely am fairly confident on the under there, and the weather. It's very high. It's purple
yeah.
for us, so we've got a very high impact there, and yeah, so that backs that up. So I feel pretty good about that. I don't know if there's a. Do you have a lean on the side at all, or?
Yeah, I'm leaning Wyoming, but I think one of the reasons maybe why it hasn't completely shot down yet is there is some news on, or we're waiting on news with Andrew Peasley,
Yeah.
starting quarterback, and he is questionable. Um, but the way I look at this is like even if he plays or doesn't play with the shoulder injury, I think that the game plan for Wyoming is going to be very similar, and they're going to look to run the ball.
Hmm.
So I think Harrison Whaley's the guy that has been kind of the bell cow running back. So I don't really think that impacts the line as much. 42 is a low total, so I get that, but I'm still kind of surprised that this hasn't shot down closer to 40. It may get there, right? Like, maybe tomorrow we see some sharp action come in. And look, Circa's trending that way. It's gone all over the place though. I mean, it was at 41.5 and jumped up to like 44 and then has been kind of teeter-tottering around 41, 42.
Hmm.
But when we're talking a total of 42, like 45.5 is I think what you got it at, and maybe what I ended up getting it at. Like that's significant, 2.5 points on a total that low. But one thing I will say about Wyoming though is their offense has looked decent. I mean, I know it was against a Texas team, but they didn't play the worst. I know they only put up 10, but in that Texas Tech game, they looked decent. They put up some points with Craig Bull in that offense. Sometimes it's just hard to um, guess what they're going to do and if they're going to have efficiency because they just run it so much. But I guess last week the backup played Evan. So I don't know how to pronounce his
Svoboda,
last.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Svoboda. Did he start that whole game? Was Presley was out, right, because he
Yeah.
injured that shoulder against Texas Tech?
Yeah, he was pretty solid. 61% completion rate. He completed 17 of 28 for 136 yards.
Mhm.
So I mean, decent first start there. The other thing too that's interesting is Wyoming is really good at controlling the clock. I think they're number 13 in the nation uh, at time of possession. So,
Jeez, they dominated against
uh-huh,
Texas. I mean, 38-21.
yeah,
Jeez.
yeah. So I think that's also going to bode in their favor. So if I had to pick a side, when I initially looked at this game a few days ago, my first instinct was to go with Wyoming, but App State's kind of a sneaky team, and it's one of those things where they're used to playing at elevation. It's App State, it's
Up in
not,
Boone.
yeah. So it's not. I don't know. They're kind of
Yeah,
they
elevation's, around 3,300, so, it still is, like, double, but we're not talking
right.
about, like, a sea level to 75 or whatever it is up in Laramie.
Exactly. So it's yeah, still a little different, but I mean they're kind of conditioned to, playing at higher altitudes. So and they're kind of a scrappy team. I mean, you saw what they did and against UNC. So yeah, I like the under, especially with the time of possession stats.
Mhm.
Yeah, I like the under there. I think that's gonna is and the weather. I mean, I think that's a good play.
App State has put up 45-40, or sorry, 45-34 and 43 in their last 3 games, so, I could see, like, more public bettors looking at that and being like, "Whoa, I'm
Mhm.
playing an over," right? But you take into consideration the weather makes it a different story there. So yeah, I'm leaning under, of course, and probably Wyoming, but only
Mhm.
bet the under. I think I got it at 44.5 is where I got it at. But I still like, I mean, 42.5, I still feel like is fine in my eyes.
Yeah, I think we got it at well, I can't remember what we got it at, but I think didn't it open at 46 and a half or something like that. So, I mean, it's gone down for 44.
I was just looking at the unabated line.
Okay,
There
so
might have been a book out there that had it at a 46.
yeah, I see a 45 there, but yeah, 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 maybe you're right. Maybe it was 44 or 44 and a half, something
Uh-huh.
like that. But I could have sworn I saw a 46 somewhere when it first opened. But still, I mean, it hasn't moved a lot, which is kind of, I don't know, it's kind of suspicious to me that it's kind of been, but like you said, it's kind of trending that direction. So we'll
Yeah.
see if it will drop here
Yeah,
in the
we still have a few more days, and I wouldn't be shocked if, the weather forecast is more concrete and something comes out and it dips under 42. So